What's up guys, we got another video today and I'm hoping this is going to be some high value content for a lot of you out there who may be trying to get your first legend or glad or even just trying to get things like transmogs and enchants, anything like that. You just want to climb to a new level, new rating, and you're a bit stuck, you don't really know where to go next. So we're covering some mindset stuff here. So this is 3 rules to climb and improve in World of Warcraft, but also really this could apply to any game or anything you want to improve in life. So let's jump right into it. So before we get into the actual rules, what I want to cover is to improve at something, there's 2 main factors, which is repetition and reflection. Now, repetition is absolutely essential in anything you want to improve in. You need to put the time in, you need to practice. But the problem is, unless you actually reflect on what's going right and what's going wrong, then your repetition is less valuable and you're going to have to spend way more time doing something. So the both are needed together. And it's not just do this or do that. You can't just put the time in and not actually think about why you're putting the time in. So let's go for it. So I've got rule 1 here, which I have called, yes, your teammates are bad, but so are you. Now, you might not want to hear that, but let's be real, it's kind of the truth. And also, if you want to improve, I like to tell myself I'm bad. I don't want to big myself up, give myself an ego, and then not be able to reflect on what I've done wrong. So I quite often call myself bad. After every game, I'm thinking about the mistakes I made. And what this really is it's the method of always focusing on what you can control, which is yourself. You can't control if your teammates are going to move in a certain way or press a certain button at a certain time, but you can control what you're doing. And so if you want to improve, you have to just narrow down onto what you are doing and how you play around what your teammates are doing, not what they are actually doing themselves. So like, if you think you're not making mistakes, just think about how many decisions lead to the game ending, right? You might say, oh, if they did this instead of that, they would have lived at the end there. But how long has the game gone on? Is it 1 minute? Is it 2 minutes? And if you think that you couldn't have done anything differently in that situation, you're completely wrong. So let's just break it down, right? My global cooldown is around about 1 second. It's probably about 1.2, but let's call it 1 second for ease. Now, if you have 1 global a second for 1 minute, that is 60 button presses. And are you actually telling me that in 60 button presses, whilst moving your character and monitoring 5 other characters in the arena, you didn't press a single button wrong? If you actually think that, then you need to just reflect on that and think about it. Because you have pressed buttons wrong. I press buttons wrong all the time. There's still situations where I use echo on my pres and I echo on top of an echo, which does nothing. It heals for hardly anything. It wastes essence. It's probably the worst mistake you can make rotationally. But I still do that. It is what it is. We all press buttons wrong. But it's accepting that you have pressed buttons wrong and reflecting on that and fixing it. The general premise here is that there is always something in a game that you could have done better. And until you fix those mistakes and iron out those things, then you won't climb. You can't make your teammate press a button at a certain time. So it's always on you and what you're doing to actually climb. So let's look at the main takeaways here. We've got focus on you, not your team. Reflect after every game, win or lose. Think about what went right, what went wrong, how you can actually adjust that for the next game. And also, you can record your gameplay and watch it back. And what this does is really allows you to narrow down on mistakes. When you watch a game back, you'll have a fresh perspective on it and you'll realize there's so many things going on that you did not even see in the moment. When you're playing these games, they're extremely fast-paced, extremely tense, and quite often you are not seeing the whole picture. When you watch it back, you're not playing, so the pressure isn't there and you can see so much more. So that's the biggest thing you can do to just iron out those mistakes, identify them in the first place as well, and just move forward. So moving on to rule 2, we're calling this, if you're stuck at a rating, that is your current level. You can't just expect to play and climb. It just doesn't really work. You can't just put in the time. It goes back to what I said about repetition and reflection. You can't just play and expect to go up. So if you think, your rating might fluctuate a bit. Say you're stuck at roughly 2,000 rating. And you might have been up to 2,100, might have been up to 2,150, but you've also been down to around 1,800, 1,800, you know? So then if we sort of draw that graph out of you going up and down, the average of those, you're stuck at roughly 2k, right? And now, whilst you might think, oh, I got unlucky, so now I'm back down to 2k, or I've dropped down to 1950, that can happen, but also if it's happening over an extended period of time, there's a pattern there, and the average is that that's just your level of play. If you play a solo queue game mode over a long period of time, eventually you will sit where you're playing. You can't get unlucky consistently enough to be at a certain level for a long period of time. So what does that mean? Let's just assume that, you know, people are making mistakes in the lobby. If they do it on your team, they're also making mistakes on the enemy team. And you have to be a level above the rest to actually climb, which means carrying them when they're on your team, playing around their mistakes to make sure that you still win despite their mistakes, and you're punishing those mistakes when they're on the enemy team. If you do that, you can actually just climb, and that might sound like I'm oversimplifying it, but it is that simple. You have to identify what they're doing wrong so that you can cater for it. If you know that someone on your team always mispositions, then you need to adjust your positioning so that you can cater for that. If you know that they always misposition and they're on the enemy team, then you can tell your team that they could die in a swap or something like that, because you're then punishing their positioning. Does that make sense? Let's look at example, right? So I played my ult, Evoker, after I climbed my main, and I gave him Conquest gear, but he had all the wrong stats. I had no embellishments because it was on a different realm, on a different... he was Alliance where my main was Horde, so I couldn't send him gold. And I played with no embellishments to about 2.3k. Then I made my Draco Fist Arm Guards embellishment, so I played with one embellishment. Now I'm 2499, so let's call it 2.5k. Now to get there, I played with a 65% win rate. I won like 75 games over 117 or something like that, right? So what I'm saying there is I've played with all the bad players that you guys played with, but I was winning those lobbies. You know, if everyone was just getting unlucky, then when they're climbing from 0 to wherever, they would also lose those games. So it just echoes that idea of reflect on yourself, identify your mistakes. There's always things you can do better, and you need to find out your teammates' mistakes as well to punish them and also carry them. Once you start carrying people, you'll climb. You can only climb once you are in a position where you're better than the other players so that you can carry. That is the general premise. So let's look at the little takeaways here. If you're playing consistently at a rating, this is your level. Don't get tilted about it, just focus on yourself and improve so you can carry these players. And that also ties into, if you play to improve rather than to win, then you'll focus on mistakes more and you'll focus on the outcome of the game less. What this means is that your rating will come after you've improved rather than just thinking, I need to go into this game and win. You go in with an improvement mindset. So that brings us on to number 3, and this is maybe the most important thing in anything. Remove the emotion. And now I know this is hard and everyone gets mad, everyone gets frustrated, but you really do just have to not tilt and get mad at the game or mad at your teammates. There is no scenario where playing frustrated will help you win. You will see less and you will make more mistakes. So let's think about the other rules, right? Let's tie back into 1 and 2. If you focus on yourself, you'll be less emotional and more objective. What that means is you'll tilt less and you'll make less mistakes over a long period of time, allowing you to have more productive sessions of, you know, let's say we're talking about WoW here. You'll have more productive gaming sessions and you'll climb more. However, we all do get mad, like it's human emotion, it's baked into us, and it's going to happen at some point. There's going to be stupid stuff that annoys you, teammates making mistakes, and it gets frustrating after your 20th solo shuffle lobby of the day and you just cannot take it anymore. And when that happens, do not hit Q again. You need to take a break because you just need time to step away from the game. Say, it's a game. Why am I mad? Getting mad does not help me. It only helps the people trying to beat me, does not help you win. So let's take a break, go get a drink, go for a walk, you know, have a shower, whatever you want to do. Maybe just watch some TV, bro, I don't know. And then when you come back, you can refocus, redial in. Maybe you want to watch those games in your break and just have a look at what you're doing, find your mistakes, and then you will be completely fresh, ready to go again, and you'll probably play even better than you did before. The main takeaway here is being emotional helps no one except your enemy. So don't be emotional, don't play tilted. If you find yourself getting mad, take a break. And to stop yourself getting mad in the first place, just focus on the objectives of the game, the objectives of your improvement. Focus on yourself, not what your teammates are doing. If you have that objective look, it will be less emotional when you get the outcome. Now, I'm aware that all of this is quite theoretical. Maybe this is a bit too mindset heavy and not practical. So what I want you to do is try this method. I want you to play a few games, but record every single one of them. Now this can be 2v2, it can be solo shuffle, it can be 3v3, whatever you want. Just play games and record your point of view. And then the key part is after you play, say, 5 games, maybe a couple solo shuffle lobbies, watch all of those games back and focus how you have been playing around the situations of the game, right? Look at your global cooldowns. What buttons are you pressing? Where are you standing? And I want you to identify one mistake that you're making often, or not necessarily like every game, but quite consistently, and it's something that you know is a mistake. So just for some examples, it could be if you're playing a healer, are you dispelling your team? You know, if your teammate's using their CDs to go aggressive and they've been CC'd, but you can dispel it, are you dispelling it as quickly as possible? Are you positioning poorly? Are you stood near people that can CC you if you're in a certain range? You know, if you're playing Resto Druid, you've got a 40-yard range, you can outrange a lot of CC from melee characters. Or, for example, a Death Knight interrupt is 15-yard range. That's so much shorter than your range of healing. So if you're stood in the fight and getting kicked by a Death Knight, that's probably because you're positioned poorly. Are you landing correct CC chains? This can be any character in the game. Are you chaining after CC and also not leaving a gap? So if someone stuns someone for 3 seconds, are you then re-CCing them at the end of that stun to extend it for another 6 seconds or something like that? That is so crucial to actually closing out kills, getting CDs and winning a game. Are you missing kicks, or are you just not kicking at all? Is there things going on that you are not doing? That is what you need to identify. Then once you've done that, play some more games and focus on that one mistake. And the aim here is you're trying not to make it again. And you only need to focus on one mistake at a time. If you focus on too much, you'll be overwhelmed, it won't sink in, you won't build up the habit. And that's the key thing here. Build the habit of not making this mistake anymore. Once it's nature and you don't need to think about it, you have then improved. And you can rinse and repeat this process. You've now learnt something new. Go out, record your games again, find a new mistake, focus on that one going forwards. And you'll find that over the course of doing this 5 times, maybe 6 times, you'll be a completely different player. You'll be playing so much better, and you will climb and you will get that rating you want. So guys, I hope this has been really valuable for you. If it has, I am doing coaching content. I am going to do some coaching for people. I am thinking of basically doing free coaching sessions for free. So the first 3 people that send me links to their recorded games, you can upload these on YouTube and set them to private. Send me the links. I'll do my whole coaching process on them. But of course, this will be a YouTube video. I will be using it for content, so you have to be happy with that. But let me know. Get in the Discord, get involved, and let's see where we can go with it. So that is it for this video, but there's a little video playing in the background that you would have been watching. So just enjoy the rest of that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bro, I'm targeting the wrong person. Nearly there, nearly there. Nice, Living Flame to end. GG. Sheesh. We just 6-0 Danny carry. That's kind of insane, guys.